Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Political Vigilante. This article was submitted by $5 Patreon supporter Christopher Ross. It's a good article. It's something we've talked about a little bit on the show, but I'd like to go into the details of it, which are, it's about how millennials, the actuality of millennials and why they're having some of the toughest problems of any generation. And it's not because they're lazy or, you always say millennial, and as the article points out, like then people always come back, oh, they're spoiled crybabies or whatever. And that that percentage of there's roughly 75 million millennials in America right now. The percentage of the spoiled ones are like the thinnest, probably 1% would be my guess. But the majority of them have grown up. They are now adults in the toughest, generation financially and opportunity-wise in a long, long time. Here's some interesting statistics. 300% more student debt than their parents. Most millennials' parents are baby boomers, right? 300% more student loan debt. So they're just told, oh, you should have gone. So not even as many of them are going to college, right? They're half as likely to own a home as young adults were in 1975 because home prices are through the roof. And when you have all this student loan debt, if you were even lucky enough to go to college, you can't buy a home. 1 in 5 millennials are living in poverty. Poverty. Now, just here in Los Angeles, the rents have gone through the roof. The home prices have gone through the roof. Just in my little world in community, I know a lot of young comics that are in their 20s. They're millennials. When I moved here, I was in my 20s, and LA was way more affordable then. I mean, I remember having a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment for like $750. It wasn't fancy. And there was 3 of us living there. And now, I mean, good Lord, I live in a rent-controlled apartment. I've said this before. I can't move out of here. If I move out, like if I were to try to get this apartment now, it would be $800 more a month than what I'm paying right now. For a 1-bedroom rent-controlled apartment, nothing fancy, no balcony. I mean, I got a dishwasher and a microwave, but and a covered parking space. Well, that's nice. I'm near the beach, but it would be $800 more a month. And I talk to a lot of these young comics, and I see where they're living and how they're living. They're 4 or 5 people in a room. I mean, okay, great. They can all just immediately become Uber and Lyft drivers. I didn't have that opportunity, but come on, man. The cost of living is ridiculous. Here's some more statistics. Based on current trends, many millennials won't be able to retire until they're 75. But it's probably because of the avocado toast. It's so stupid to demonize a generation that is inherited. I remember being in college and I was like 20 or whatever, and I had some professor giving us a You Kids Today speech, and I was rose my hand and I go, how is this our fault? I go, this was the early 90s, and I go, I didn't inherit this. I didn't create the Vietnam War. I didn't do Watergate. I didn't do junk bonds and all the criminal shit that happened on Wall Street in the 80s. I go, I didn't do any of that. How is this my fault? And everyone kind of laughed and clapped, and the teacher was like, why? How is this on us? That's what they said to us. Oh, you Gen Xers, you're all slackers. And it's like, okay, what did I inherit? Here's some excerpts of an actual person for a story. Some days I breathe and it feels like something is about to burst out of my chest, says Jimmy Montsinger. I'm 25 and I'm still in the same place I was when I earned minimum wage. 4 days a week she works at a dental office. Friday she nannies. Weekends she babysits. 3 jobs. Goddamn lazy millennials. And she still couldn't keep up with her rent, car lease, and student loans. Oh, she wasn't blowing it all on Pokemon Toast or whatever? Earlier this year, she had to borrow money to file for bankruptcy. Jesus, I've done that. I heard the same walls closing in anxiety from millennials around the country and across the income scale, from cashiers in Detroit to nurses in Seattle. It's tempting to look at the recession as the cause of all this, the great fucking from which we are still waiting to recover. I'm going to put the link to this. It's Huffington Post. It's funny. But what we are living through now, and what the recession merely accelerated, is the historic convergence of economic maladies, many of them decades in the making. Decision by decision, the economy has turned into a young people's screwing machine, and unless something changes, our calamity is going to become America's. Well, to this author, I would say it's not just a young person's screwing machine. It's fucking the poor and the middle class. And you watch the corporate media, and they demonize the poor, and they demonize millennials. And anyone that's having a tough time because the system has fucked them, it's the person's fault. See that how that works in America? It must be your fault, millennial. Hey, poor person, it's your fucking fault. You shouldn't have an iPhone. You mean the thing I need to communicate, to get a job, to be in touch with my kids and everything because I got 3 fucking jobs? That thing? What am I supposed to have, a home phone in this day and age and run a business? Or just have a job? It's unbelievable. And this is what the corporate state does. This is what they do. This is what the corporate state does. They just like to make you feel bad for being poor. They like to do all of this. They screw the system over. They don't give you opportunities. They saddle you with debt, make everything cost more than it should, and then it's your fault. Oh, what's that girl doing with a car lease? Oh, because she needs a car to get to her 3 fucking jobs. Should have bought a used car. How? It's hard to get financing on used cars. I bet you the lease they got great lease deals. She has to get a lease deal, and rents keep going up. So it's just preposterous. And this article is very long, and I suggest reading the whole thing. Here's another great statistic. Over 10 years, the typical 2009 graduate could earn up to $58,600 less than the typical 07 grad. They're projecting just in those 2 years. It's a very lengthy article, and they did a lot of there's a lot of great research in here. I'll give you some more. Hours of minimum wage work needed to pay for our 4 years of public college. Okay? Baby boomers needed 306 hours of minimum wage work to pay for 4 years of public college. Millennials, 4,459 hours of minimum wage work to pay for a 4-year public college. Yeah, so I don't think it's the avocado toast. And this is why so many millennials got behind Bernie Sanders. This is why so many millennials call themselves independents. This is why if we start a real third party, it'll be millennials driving it, as well it should be. Because all of America is suffering. Of any age group, of any ethnicity, of any demographic. So I appreciate this article, and I like bringing these stats to you, and thank you for Christopher Ross for bringing this. Here's another great statistic. Average annual stock market returns on 401k plans. Baby boomers 6.3%, millennials 2.9%. The 401ks aren't even paying out like they used to. Because the corporations just cook the books for the top 1%. Oh, then it goes into the whole healthcare thing. How many people are going to have to file for bankruptcy because of healthcare issues? Here's a fun statistic about the wealth gap. the difference between black wealth and white wealth. Obama helped wipe out a lot of black wealth, by the way. The median white household will have 86 times more wealth than the median black household by 2020. As I've talked about, the 5.2 million foreclosures that Obama helped create were largely in black and Latino communities. I lost mine too because of Obama. Ding! So this is pretty sad. And this is why millennials, I've said this, like, I'm sorry, but you don't get to fuck off in your 20s. Like I got to fuck off in my 20s. And I was kind of paying attention, but kind of just being a comedian. And millennials, you can't afford it. You know, millennials who just want to go out and be in their 20s and have fun and party and not paying attention. I get it. A lot of generations got to do that in their 20s. You guys can't afford to, because none of us can afford to stop not paying attention anymore. We all need to pay attention. And if you are paying attention and you're a millennial and you have millennial friends who are like, who's got time? Tell them you got time. Because we're getting screwed. The baby boomers screwed us. I know there's a lot of baby boomers that watch this show, and I appreciate the baby boomers that are paying attention. I don't want to get into some sort of generational war, but who's really fucking us is the 1%ers. The 1%ers of any generation are fucking us. And everyone needs to pay attention so that this doesn't get any worse, because it looks like it's going to. So thanks for watching the show, everybody. Thanks for submitting this, Christopher Ross. You get to submit articles like this if you're a Patreon supporter. YouTube is unsubscribing a lot of you, so make sure you're subscribed. I lost like 300 or 400 subscribers in a day, which is bullshit. They did that intentionally. They've demonetized videos that I've done about net neutrality. They don't want me talking about that. That's a form of censorship. So when you guys go to patreon.com, the link is in the notes below, and support this show, I can bring you news and stories that needs to be heard, that the corporate media won't tell you. So thanks for watching the show.